In the last 24 hours, one AI lab quietly overtook OpenAI for the first time ever. Another built a hacking tool so dangerous it refused to ship it. A third turned an entire phone operating system into a chatbot. Tech CEOs are calling this the strangest week of the year, and nobody at the top is sleeping tonight. Buckle in. This is every major AI bombshell from the last 24 hours, ranked from weird to absolutely unprecedented. Start with the upset nobody saw coming. Fresh enterprise data dropped showing Anthropic just passed OpenAI in business adoption for the very first time. Anthropic's business usage grew roughly 4 times in a single year. OpenAI's grew 0.3%. Not 3%. 0.3. The undisputed king of consumer chatbots is suddenly losing the boardroom while the underdog quietly eats every Fortune 500 procurement budget on the planet. Then Dario Amodei dropped the number that made every venture capitalist spit their coffee. He said Anthropic's first quarter revenue grew 80 times year over year. They had internally planned for 10 times. They missed their forecast by an entire order of magnitude in the right direction. To fuel it, they just locked a $1.8 billion compute deal with Akamai, plus 5 new infrastructure agreements in May alone. The compute war just went nuclear. OpenAI fired back the same day with a brand new subsidiary called OpenAI Deployment Company, backed by more than $4 billion in initial capital. Its job: parachute engineers into Fortune 500 boardrooms and rebuild your business around GPT models. To staff it overnight, OpenAI is acquiring an AI consultancy called Tomorrow, absorbing roughly 150 deployment specialists in one shot. McKinsey, Accenture, Deloitte, your $100 billion consulting moat just got a new competitor with infinite GPUs. 48 hours earlier, Novo Nordisk, the company behind Ozempic, signed a sweeping pact with OpenAI to wire AI into literally everything: drug discovery, clinical trials, manufacturing, and the supply chain. Full deployment by the end of this year. Translation: the world's most valuable pharma giant is becoming an AI-first company in real time. Every disease, every molecule, every patient pathway, screened through frontier models. The biotech industry will not look the same in 12 months. Now flip to Mountain View. Google is racing to launch a new system called Gemini Omni right before I/O 2026. Early demos show a single chat box that can generate, remix, and edit full videos in real time, with realistic motion, accurate facial expressions, and on-screen text that actually reads correctly. If those demos hold up, the entire Sora vs. Vio vs. Runway race ends next week. Hollywood post-production departments are quietly updating their resumes tonight. An Android is being rebuilt from the floor up. A senior Google exec told reporters this week, quote, "We are transitioning from an operating system to an intelligence system." Read that again. The world's most used operating system, running on 3 billion phones, is being torn apart and reassembled around Gemini. Apple's WWDC reveal is now under enormous pressure. If Google ships first, the Apple keynote walks on stage already a generation behind. 3 billion devices hang in the balance. Then there's the bombshell nobody at Anthropic wanted to make public. The company has a new model called Mythos, and it is too dangerous to release. Only about 40 hand-picked tech firms and security agencies have access. Most central banks, most governments, including the European Commission, are still locked out. Why? Because Mythos can find and exploit zero-day vulnerabilities in real codebases by itself, and reverse engineer exploits from closed-source software without any human help. The UK's AI Security Institute ran the numbers. Mythos completed a 32-step simulated cyber attack in 6 out of 10 attempts. 32 steps. 6 out of 10. Independent benchmarks at Palo Alto Networks confirmed the model's autonomous hacking capability has, in their words, substantially outpaced previous trends. Translation: an AI just learned to hack like a senior red team operator, end-to-end, with no babysitter. And that is the version they decided to slow down. It gets worse. Bloomberg reported that at least one unauthorized group has already obtained Mythos through one of Anthropic's vendors. The most powerful offensive AI model on Earth, leaked through a supply chain crack, less than a month after launch. Anthropic insists access is contained. Security researchers are openly skeptical. If those weights ever hit the open web, every unpatched server on the internet becomes a target overnight. We are one leak away from a global incident. Predictably, OpenAI mocked Anthropic for hoarding mythos. Then, 2 weeks later, OpenAI quietly restricted access to its own equivalent cyber model. Same reasoning. Same fear. They publicly promised the European Union early access while still throttling everyone else. The pattern is now obvious. Every frontier lab is sitting on a tool that could melt critical infrastructure, and every frontier lab has decided the rest of the world is not ready to hold it. While the labs trade punches, Microsoft Research dropped a paper that should terrify every enterprise running AI agents in production. They tested frontier models across a benchmark spanning 52 professional domains. The finding: even the best models routinely corrupt documents and silently introduce major errors during long, multi-step workflows. Output looks confident. Output looks polished. Output is quietly wrong. The agents your company just deployed may be deleting paragraphs and rewriting numbers behind your back. On the regulation side, the US government just expanded its grip. The Center for AI Standards and Innovation signed agreements with Google DeepMind, Microsoft, and xAI, giving Washington early access to test their AI models before public launch. OpenAI and Anthropic were already under similar deals from 2024. Translation: the federal government is now a mandatory pre-release reviewer for every major foundation model in America. Move fast and break things is officially over in artificial intelligence. Buried in the noise, another rumor cracked wide open. OpenAI is reportedly building a smartphone, partnering with MediaTek and Qualcomm. A device designed from the silicon up around ChatGPT, with Johnny Ive's design firm reportedly on the hardware. If true, this is the iPhone moment of the AI era. A phone where there is no app store, no home screen, just a conversation. Apple, Samsung, and Google now face an existential competitor that has never sold hardware in its life. Now the human cost. Cloudflare announced on May 7 it is cutting more than 1,100 jobs, roughly 20% of its entire workforce. The CEO cited AI productivity gains as a core reason. One of the most beloved engineering cultures in tech just lost 1 in 5 people, because the machines got faster. And Cloudflare is not an outlier this week. They are simply the headline that everyone else is hiding behind right now. General Motors quietly let go of 500 to 600 employees, most of them in IT. Internal memos cited AI tooling as a factor. These are not assembly line jobs anymore. These are white-collar engineering and support roles in the heart of Detroit. The same week, Coinbase axed 700 people, 14% of staff, explicitly to pivot toward an AI-centric workflow. Crypto's biggest US exchange is now openly an AI company that happens to sell tokens. Zoom out. Tech layoff trackers now show 128,000 workers cut from US tech companies so far this year. That is roughly 1,000 people every single day. More than 70,000 of those cuts have been explicitly tied to AI automation. The fastest white-collar reorganization in American history is happening in real time, in silence, while everyone keeps scrolling the model leaderboards. Now connect the dots. In one 24-hour window, Anthropic overtook OpenAI, Google reinvented Android, a leaked hacking model is loose in the wild, the US government became the gatekeeper of every frontier release, and tens of thousands of professionals lost their jobs to the same technology that is making it all possible. This is not 5 separate stories. This is one story, accelerating, in 5 different directions at exactly the same moment. And it is moving faster than any single human can track. A year ago, an 80 times revenue jump was a fever dream. A zero-day finding AI was science fiction. Apple looked completely untouchable. Today, all 3 assumptions are obsolete before lunch. Every quarterly report you read is already out of date the day it prints. The labs are not really racing each other anymore. They are racing whatever model quietly ships tomorrow morning. The uncomfortable truth nobody on stage will say out loud: the biggest AI bombshell of the next 24 hours has probably already been written, sitting in a draft email, waiting for a legal team to clear it. By the time you finish watching this video, the leaderboard may have moved again. The only safe assumption left is that no assumption is safe. Watch the labs. Watch your industry. Watch your own job description very carefully. So here is the question that decides everything. If one lab can already build a model too dangerous to release, and another can replace 20% of an entire company in one memo, who exactly is still in control of all this? Drop your honest answer in the comments below. The sharpest takes, the wildest predictions, the dissenting opinions, I will pin the ones that actually make me think. See you in the next bombshell. If this resonated, give it a like so the algorithm spreads it. Subscribe so you don't miss the next one.